What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Basket Parties. Now today, as you can see, I have a ton of hooks and stuff down here, and I have a box full of soft plastics. Now today's video is going to be my favorite rigs for soft plastics during the springtime. Now when I'm talking about springtime, I'm talking about pre-spawn, spawn, and that's pretty much it. So if you want to learn my favorite rigs and techniques on how to fish my favorite soft plastics during the springtime, stick around to the end of the video. Alright, so when I think of springtime, you know, in the post-spawn, these bass are coming up from the shallow, from the deep to the shallow, and you're going to catch them being more aggressive. They're going to be hunting more, so a belly-weighted hook is going to be really good, and I like to fish a belly-weighted hook with either a fluke or some type of a swim bait. So let me rig this up real quick. You're basically just going to put the screw part into the nose here, and just screw it on in there. And the reason this catches a lot of fish during the pre-spawn is because these bass are more aggressive. They're in a hunting mood. And when you fish a fluke on a belly-weighted hook, it sinks faster, so that lets you start twitching it faster. And it works really well. So this is one of my favorite techniques to do during post-spawn. And also during the spawn, you can let this sink to a bed. If you find a bed, throw it on the bed and just let it sit there like this, touch it a little bit, and it works really great. So this is one rig. Another good rig for the post spawn is a wacky rig. So a wacky rig, you basically just take a Senko, get an O-ring. You don't need to have an O-ring, but I like using O-rings, and I like to do two. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to a video on my favorite way to rig O-rings on a wacky rig Senko. But the reason I like to fish a wacky rig in the post spawn is, again, these bass they're more aggressive, and a wacky rig just triggers bites. That little death wobble it does on the way down, and you can also find some fish moving from the deep to the shallow, and you can catch some fish with the wacky rig doing that. So now a wacky rig is basically, you get your bait, you hook it through the middle, and then this is a special type of hook here that where you can just hook it like so, like this, and this is a wacky rig. So this is another good rig that I absolutely love. A second rig that works really good for the spawn is a Nico rig. Now a Nico rig, you can fish it with like any type of worm, or like little finesse worms, or even my favorite bait to use for a Nico rig is a fluke. Now you might think I'm kind of biased because I always use flukes in my videos, but flukes, they're so versatile, and I'm going to show you guys this. So with the O-rings, again, for a Nico rig, just get an O-ring, get your bait, try to stick it in there. A fluke's kind of difficult to put in an O-ring tool, but just put it in just like so. Get your hook, hook the bait just like so, and then what you do is you shove a nail weight. Now a nail weight's just a little tiny weight like this that can go into the noses of your baits, and you just push it in just like that. And you can also, if you have super glue, you can glue the nail in, the nail weight in here. I don't like doing super glue because then it can kind of get stuck in there, but just like that. And now what this is going to do is, during the spawn, if you find a bedding bass, just throw it on the bed, and that nail weight's going to make it sink to the bottom, and your hook's going to be there. So it's essentially rigged like a wacky rig, but that nail weight right there is going to make it stand up. And the reason I like using flukes is because a bait fish on a bass's bed is not good, because the bass wants to make sure that nothing eats its eggs, and a bait fish like this is going to go up on its bed and take those eggs, and if a bass sees this, it's going to take it. So this is another good rig that I like. The fourth rig that I like is a weighted Texas rig. Now I only have a hook here, but basically a Texas rig, you can do anything. One of my favorite baits to use with the Texas rig is a craw. Now the way you do a Texas rig is you just shove the hook in the nose, just like so. Then you pop it out, and then you push it up. I like to hide the eye of the hook in there. Pull this down slightly, measure it. It's gonna go there, and then pop it out. And then to make this weedless, what you do is you just pull up and push down, and now it's weedless. And again, a Texas rig, whether it be weightless or weighted, it's just so simple. You can peg your weight on your line and swim it during the pre-spawn, or you can fish it during the spawn on a bass's bed. So this is my 4th favorite rig. And one of the last is a shaky head. Now this one works really, really good for the spawn as well, because again, you can throw anything on a shaky head. You could throw beavers, you can throw like this bait, which is kind of weird, but it's Gary Yamamoto bait. I'll leave a link to my favorite hooks and my favorite baits that I like to use for these rigs in the link in the description of this video, so go check that out. But shaky head, you could throw anything on it, and just to prove that, I'm gonna put this beaver right here. Now, a shaky head is a more finesse rig, and sometimes throwing a big bait like this on it might not be the best idea, but sometimes doing things differently is better, because not many people throw big beaver style baits like this on shaky heads or big creature baits. So it's something different that the bass sees, and it triggers more bites. And a shaky head, basically just do the same thing as a Texas rig almost. And it's weedless, and again, because it has a flat head, it's gonna sit on the bottom just like this. And if a bass sees this on the bed, on its bed, just twitching and jiggling like this, it's gonna bite it and it's gonna take it. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my top 5 favorite springtime soft plastic rigs. Now I love these because they're so versatile. I can throw pretty much any soft plastic, not just the ones that are in this box. I can throw anything that exists out there. And they're just so simple, so easy to learn how to fish. They don't take much skill to throw this technique. And they just work really great. You can use these techniques on any rod, spinning rods or bait casting rod, doesn't matter. And these techniques also catch a ton of fish. Not just in the springtime, all around the year. But these are my top 5 favorite springtime fishing rigs. And as always, guys, stick around and see more amazing videos from me. And as always, stay positive, stay happy, and go catch some fish. Peace.